special sweet and salty party mix recipe to share with you. This is perfect for fall. It's got cinnamon and fruits in it, and it's got a secret ingredient that I'll tell you about in just a second. This recipe is part of a collaboration with a bunch of other YouTube channels to celebrate the 30th birthday or anniversary of Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal. So I've obviously got some of that here for the sort of caramel sauce that's gonna make this sweet to balance out our salty. I've got butter here that's melted and hot. I'm gonna add a couple tablespoons of brown sugar and then a couple tablespoons of honey. Then you just want to try to get that dissolved, get the sugar dissolved in the butter as well as you can. Okay, so then we just want to pour this over to coat everything in our bowl. And you'll notice I'm using these little waffle pretzels because then each of these little holes gets filled with this crunchy caramel while it bakes, and it makes it really good. And then just gently stir this around to coat everything. I like to use a rubber spatula because you don't want to break up the pretzels too much. And then once these are looking fairly well coated, we're going to add in the Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal. And you want to add this in later because it's a little more fragile than the other ingredients and you don't want the pieces to break up. So again, just be gentle. Man, I love sugar and cinnamon smell together. Reminds me of my grandma used to make cinnamon toast every day after school for me and my brother's after school snack, and we would sit like this close in front of the TV and eat our cinnamon toast and drink hot jasmine tea, and I felt like such a little proper lady. Okay, great. So once everything's coated, you'll know because when you look in the bottom, there's not like a little puddle of caramel sauce down there because it's all where it's supposed to be, coating your ingredients. Got a pan here that I've lined with parchment paper. I do recommend doing that because of the sugar and the honey. It will kind of stick to the pan and it'll be a pain to clean up. So parchment paper or foil or something like that would be good. You might be able to use wax paper, but I would be worried that it would melt even though we're cooking this on a low heat. And just try to spread it out as evenly as you can in a single layer. So now I'm going to put this in a 250-degree oven for about 45 minutes. I'm going to take it out and stir it every 15 minutes. That's very important. And then the last 15 minutes, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon sugar mix over it and a little bit of salt too, and toss that around and let that go for another 15 minutes. So all told, it'll cook for about an hour at 250. 45 minutes, 3 cycles of 15, stirring in between each one. This is what we're looking at. It's starting to smell really toasty and nutty. What I'm gonna do is mix up a little cinnamon sugar. It's about the same proportions that my grandma used to use for cinnamon toast. So it's about a tablespoon of sugar with a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Just gonna sprinkle it over everything. And the reason I'm doing this last is when I was testing the recipe and creating the recipe, the cinnamon would burn if you put it on at the beginning. So I'm gonna put it on at this stage. I'm just gonna use about half of this, I think. And give it a little stir. And you can see the caramel is starting to get nice and thick, not as runny as it was when we first stirred it. It's kind of drying out and baking into the cereal and the pretzels. So get it spread all out again. And then the last thing I'm gonna add is a little bit of salt, because we've got some salt on the pretzels and some salt on the roasted peanuts, but I want this to be sweet and salty and spicy. So I'm just gonna use I'm using kosher salt because it's a little coarser than regular table salt. Just a light sprinkle. Like this is probably only about 1/8 of a teaspoon or something. Okay, I'm gonna put this back in at 250 for another 15 minutes and then turn the oven off and crack the door and just let it hang out in the oven and cool off before we add the fruits. Okie dokie smoky, so this has been cooling in the oven. It's still a little bit warm, but mostly cooled off. You can see how glossy everything got. It's really nice and coated in our sort of honey caramel sauce. And I'm just putting it right back into the bowl that we mixed it up in. For my fruit, I've got some dried cranberries and some golden raisins. You could use chopped up dried apricots or apples or figs. Those would also be nice fall flavors. So I'm gonna toss these in gently. So there we go. Beautiful. I love this. It smells so good. Oh, it also makes your house smell delicious while you're making this. I'm gonna make a little cluster for myself. A little bit of everything. There you go. There's how to make a delicious sweet and salty and, you know, fall spicy, pumpkin spicy snack mix. Printable recipe is always available at hilahcooking.com. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye. For more Cinnamon Toast Crunch